I'd like to call the Wednesday, January 18th, 2023 Onslow County Board of Commissioners meeting to order. At this time, I ask that our County Manager, Ms. Sharon Griffin, provide us with the invocation.
Thank you and good evening, Chairman Foster and Commissioners. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to come before you and conduct the business of Onslow County. Lord, be with the commissioners and their deliberations and bless them with wisdom and guidance as they address the items on tonight's agenda. Father, we pray for our military and for our first responders who continue to serve our country with tremendous courage, commitment, and sacrifice. May all we do this day bring you honor and glory. Amen. Now, with deep respect and reverence for the faiths, beliefs, and traditions of those gathered here tonight, join me in a moment of silence. Thank you.
Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Assistant County Manager Ben Warren.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This time, we'd like to recognize the elected officials that are here with us tonight. First, Sheriff Chris Thomas. Appreciate the Sheriff being here. From North Topsail Beach, Alderman Rick Grant. We appreciate you being here as well. And our Register of Deeds, Ms. Amiga Jarman, for being here as well. And not elected, we do have someone from the Onslow County Board of Education, Dr. Brendan Gartner, here as well. So we appreciate him being here as well. Do we have any items that need to be considered separately on the agenda? If not, I need a motion to adopt the meeting agenda.
So motion. Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. At this time, do any board members have any questions or concerns about the agenda items and the consent agenda that you wish to be removed and moved to the end of our agenda?
Motion to approve this consent agenda.
We have a motion and approval to approve the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. At this time, I'll turn the meeting over to Ms. Griffin.
Thank you, Chairman Foster and Commissioners. We are to our public comment period, and tonight we have two citizens who have signed up to address the board as a whole. I will call these in the order in which they've signed up, and I do remind those citizens who come forward, please repeat your name and address when you get to the microphone. And we do ask that you stick to exactly 5 minutes, and when your time is up, that you take your seat. Please address your comments to the board as a whole and not to any one commissioner individually. And at this time, I will ask Mr. Michael Cayley to come up. He's at 124 Imperial Lane in Jacksonville.
Good evening, Chairman Foster, Commissioners. Once again, my name's Mike Cayley, 124 Imperial Lane, Jacksonville, North Carolina. First of all, I want to turn around and say thank you to Mr. Foster. I got a couple of different topics here real quick. But as the Deputy Commandant with the Military Order of the Lancers, happened to go out to W.C. Jarman's house a couple of weeks ago and give him an award. And Commissioner Foster came out there that night, and also Chaplain Ray Randall and his wife Diane Randall, both with the Lancers and the Marine Corps League. And we were able to give W.C. Jarman a National Achievement certificate that's recognized national across the United States for his time as a county commissioner, his military service during the Korean War, and all the different positions that he's held in Onslow County. And I just want to appreciate Tim Foster, Commissioner Chairman, for being there that night. And I was very privileged because I have known WC when he was county commissioner and fire rescue commissioner and everything, and it was just really nice to be able to give him that award. And I just thank you for participating. I also want to do a quick shout out to former chairman, Commissioner Jack Bright, for his service for the county, what he'd done. And just want our prayers to be with him and his family as they enjoy their retirement and they go about their business. But I really wanted to come and talk tonight a little bit about the budget because you guys are getting ready to jump into that budget. And when you go into this, I want you to really think about the citizens of Onslow County and about their tax dollars and do your due diligence. But I really want to see the Onslow County employees taken care of, okay, and all their staff, okay? Being a former county employee, it's very important to me. I also want to do a shout out for the Sheriff's Department, for all his officers, retention officers, detention, all the different areas. Norm Bryson with the EOC, all the county paramedics and all their staff, first responders, volunteer fire departments, paid or non-paid, and all the little municipalities. When it comes to this budget, got to dot the I's, cross the T's, double check the numbers, do due diligence and research. When you have all the department heads come in here for the budget workshops, make sure you please listen to them carefully, see what they're asking for, okay? Research it a little bit, ask the right questions. If you don't got the answer, they don't have the answer, set it on the side, bring it back up before you make the final decision on that budget. But we gotta look out for our volunteers in the volunteer fire departments. We gotta get them paramedic calls, you know. We gotta get our buses back up to a different number, okay? We gotta work hard on this budget. We gotta work hard taking care of our county employees. All right, they're putting their lives out there and their due diligence. When it comes to the school system, please do your research on the school systems. If they want to build another school, please research about building a 2-, 3-, 4-story school, not just a 1-story, and take up all that property. We got to have expansion, got to have room for it. Okay, this building the school and run out of the property, and a year or two the school's maxed out and you got to go buy more. It's not working. We got to go up and then out on the same property. So please just do your due diligence as you do this budget this go around. I plan on attendance on these budget meetings. I just wish you the best. You guys are doing the job that a lot of people don't want to reach out and do. Okay, they want to criticize. We can always agree to disagree, but I know you guys are doing the best you can for Onslow County, and I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Cayley. Our next speaker is Brian Standridge of 1099 Gum Branch Road.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm coming here before you guys tonight representing Conley Construction Group out of Charlotte, North Carolina. I live in Onslow County. I'm a native to Onslow County. I work for them as a project manager, and we've just contracted with Living Water Christian School in Onslow County. They've had a footprint here for many, many years. Basically, what I'm here for tonight is to extend an informal invite. I will be sending out emails to all of you with more of a formal invite, but we are doing a ceremonial groundbreaking on February 9th at 1 p.m. for a 7,200 square foot facility. We're going to be expanding on their property because of the growth that that school has seen. And I would just love for all of you or whoever is able, including the county manager, to participate in that ceremonial event. So thank you guys very much.
Thank you, Mr. Standridge. Chairman Foster, that concludes tonight's public comment period.
Thank you. And I will remind everyone, I missed out with the use of the cell phones. Make sure you have those on silent and vibrate. Since we didn't remind you tonight, I don't want anybody embarrassed when your cell phone goes off. So please do that. And we've already taken care of letting you know that we won't share any responses until the end. So thank you very much. And Ms. Griffin, if you want to go ahead and take us through the general items.
Yes, thank you, Chairman Foster. Our first general item is about the Region 8 American Rescue Plan Act. And this is a mini grant that Chrissy Richmond Hoover, our health director, would like to come forward and ask for your blessing and accepting.
Good evening, Chairman, Vice Chairman, and Commissioners. The item that I'm bringing to you tonight is a mini grant. This grant offering was made available through UNCW, specifically the South North Carolina or the Southern North Carolina Regional Health Collaborative. That is a group of 9 counties that make up what we call Region 8 on our area of the state. It extends from us in Onslow at the northernmost end all the way down to Brunswick, over to Robeson, and then comes back up to Duplin County. This grant offering is to enhance the public health workforce and to strengthen the public health foundational capabilities. It requires no county match, and it would be used to improve the skills of our public health workforce in assessment, surveillance, community partnerships, organizational competencies, performance management, and communications. Specifically, we might use these funds for things like professional resources and professional society memberships. It would give our staff access to scientific journals and continuing education opportunities, or conference registrations that could be either technical or leadership in nature, and it would cover the associated travel costs. Therefore, we're respectfully requesting that the Board of Commissioners approve the acceptance of this Region 8 ARPA mini grant in the amount of $50,000 and authorize the county manager to sign on behalf of the county. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer those.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next item is for American Ambulance franchise, and this is to change a status on a contract, and I'd like to call forward Jason Jones. He is our EMS division head.
Good evening, Chairman, Vice Chairman, and Commissioners. This board awarded a franchise agreement to American Ambulance last year in accordance with our EMS system plan. They voluntarily ceased operations in our community with our established procedures under the system plan. The EMS Peer Review Committee has removed them from the EMS system and has recommended that this board remove their franchise in Onslow County. It is respectfully requested that the board approve the resolution to terminate the ordinance granting American Ambulance a franchise to operate within Onslow County and authorize the chairman to be signed on behalf of the county. And I'm happy to answer your questions.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I just have a clarification question, not necessarily for me, but for the citizens that are watching. So does this have any kind of an impact on EOC as a whole?
It does not. So an ambulance franchise, this group here, they were doing non-emergency transport. So patients from dialysis centers back to home, facilities back to home. We do have another franchise with Friendly Ambulance to provide this service currently.
Great.
So there is no impact to our community.
Good, thank you.
Thank you. We had a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you. And our
you.
next item is also with Jason Jones, if you want to go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. So the City of Jacksonville Fire Department provides medical first response within the city limits. To operate within the Onslow County EMS system, they're required to have a MOU or interlocal agreement with Onslow County. Due to some recent changes in the EMS system, we had to update that agreement. It had last been updated in the early 2000s. The City of Jacksonville signed off on this agreement at their City Council meeting on December 6th. It is respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners consider approving this interlocal agreement and authorize the chairman to sign on behalf of the county.
Motion. Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you.
Our next two items are from Norman Bryson, Director of Emergency Services.
Good evening, Chairman, Vice Chairman, and Commissioners. This item that you have before you is a disaster-related debris removal agreement with North Carolina Department of Transportation. This agreement, by going ahead and putting it in place, would allow us to be able to do debris removal after a major disaster, such like what we experienced after Hurricane Florence just a very few years ago. In this type of situation, when we have, after Florence, we were waiting on this agreement. It took us almost 2 weeks before we could get that agreement through NCDOT. We're going through and requesting this for consideration so we can help to speed up this process. It does not immediately commit us to go ahead and start debris removal. If it is a small storm along those lines, NCDOT has the first obligation on it up front, but then they could succeed up to us to, if it was a major disaster, for us to go ahead and start that debris removal. There is no upfront cost to this agreement, and we are respectfully requesting that the Board of Commissioners consider disaster-related debris removal agreement with the North Carolina Department of Transportation, and if approved, authorize the county manager to sign the agreement.
Motion approved.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
I appreciate you guys doing this. This is, I remember the issues that we had after Florence. It was challenging, and this is a great preemptive move to make sure we don't have that again. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I think everybody remembers, unfortunately, may not want to remember back to Florence, and once we got the debris removal started, the impact that had by clearing up everything in roads, and just an immense job was done in that removal process. So this is good to get ahead of it.
One thing I was going to say is I appreciate what you're doing, Norman, but it goes back to what I said last meeting. Since you're up here and then you have your EMT director here, I think you guys have a great staff. You have wonderful people working for you that are dedicated, professional, and from personal experience, I was very, very impressed with, like I said before, with some of your employees. So, job well done. I appreciate that very much.
Thank you, sir.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
The next item is we're revamping our emergency operation plan. The emergency operation plan is what defines authorities for department heads, directors, managers, and even the county commissioners, what their roles and responsibilities are during a time of disaster. As Onslow County government grows and changes over time, and also with changes that may come down from either state or FEMA, we have to spend time in updating these emergency operations plan. So this item before you that you have this evening is a updated version of the emergency operation plan of the general base plan, which is, I believe, about 149 pages long, if I remember off the top of my head. But in all, this is an opportunity, to update our plan from what we've been before and make sure we're meeting any current requirements that may become from the state or FEMA. It is respectfully requested the Board of Commissioners consider approving the 2023 emergency plan, letter of promulgation, and the letter of agreement to formally adopt the plan, and authorize the chairman, sheriff, and county manager to sign all associated documents on behalf of the county.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? I think this answers the question of how important it is for preparation, and this plan lets the people know that something comes up. You guys are well ahead of the game in preparation for what's coming, so we appreciate that. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you, Norman. Our next and final item are budget amendments, and we'll call forward Andrew Prince, our finance officer.
Good evening, Chairman, Vice Chairman, and Commissioners. Before you, I have Budget Amendment 32, or B32. It is for the previously approved grant of $50,000 related to the Region 8 ARPA. It will be used for recruiting, travel, training, contract services, incentives, duties, and subscriptions. It is respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners consider the listed budget amendment.
Motion.
Second. Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you.
I think we're now at county manager's comments.
We are, and just wanted to let everybody know we've been working on compiling what we've done for the past calendar year, and all of our departments have been very busy. And just to share a few of the things, some good news and some bad news. We're saddened to report that in our 911 calls, our mental health calls as a community are up 27.2% as compared to the prior calendar year. In addition, our overdose calls to 911 are up 24.3%, so definitely something to be concerned about. Other indicators of how things are going, 7,075 households were assisted with low-income energy assistance, crisis intervention, or emergency assistance by our DSS department in 2022. That is a 28% increase from 2021. In addition, some good news, we had 89 children who were brought out of the foster care system and were permanently placed, either back with a family member or with adoptive parents. So the lives of those 89 kids got a whole lot better. Our parks and recreation have had a 40% increase in visitors as compared to 2021. And our youth athletic events have seen a doubling in the participants who have signed up for it. Other signs that we see in our county, signs of growth, subdivision plans submitted were 18% higher, and rezoning requests have increased by 92%. So just some of the tidbits that we've taken out, and we'll share more as we go, but we've been very busy this year, and we look forward to more exciting things to come as our community grows. And that's all I have for this evening, unless you have questions.
All right, thank you very much. We appreciate that update, and we will start tonight with the commissioner's comments with Commissioner Bennett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Sandridge and Mr. Cayley, for your comments. I appreciate your coming tonight. The growth in our county continues, and one of our biggest jobs is to prepare Onslow County for growth. And we've done some things tonight with the emergency operation plan, and I think in the budget time we'll be working toward preparing Onslow County for the influx of people that continue to come here, because this is such a great place to be. So thank you all for being here tonight. Have a good night.
Thank you, Commissioner Bennett. Commissioner Buchanan.
Thank you. One of the things, I don't know if I can say this now or not, but Sherry Slater, I'm going to tell you something. We're going to miss you. We were told today that you're going to retire on us. You've been a very working partner for us in this county. I have enjoyed working with you over these years. I think it's about 18 years you and I have been working together, and we went through a lot of stuff with construction and a lot of other things that you've done. I want to thank you for what you've done for this county, and I appreciate that a lot. The other thing is our Public Safety Memorial. I know everybody's probably seen all the pictures of the vandalism that took place to that. That memorial is very dear to my heart, because David Williams came in front of this board when we used to be at City Hall, and he held up an envelope at the back of the place. And a lot of people don't know this story, but he held up an envelope and he says, "I challenge the county commissioners, what's in this envelope, to start a public safety memorial." In that envelope was $400, and I matched that. And so did W.C. Jarman and Barbara Eichner. I'm not sure what other commissioners did at that particular time, but I know the three of us matched that money. That was a start of that memorial, and that memorial means a lot to the citizens. And one key thing is Kim Lawrence Johnson. Kim Lawrence was one of the hardest pushing individual I've ever seen to raise money for that memorial. And I can tell you're going to see I get a little emotional here, because it means so much to me. Robin Knapp with the Blue Knights, they raised money. The volunteer fire departments raised money for that facility. It is just a shame when we have somebody come over there and devastate what they did to that. The vandalism was horrible. Those of you didn't see it, we still have pictures of it. And I'm just letting the people know that we're going to make sure that doesn't happen again. This board has already talked back and forth with each other, and there will be cameras on there, which I understand that they might have picked up on some information on what took place, and I'm hoping that that did take place. Chris Thomas has given me thumbs up, so I'm pretty sure that these people don't understand there's cameras someplace. They're simple. We might not have had them on the memorial, but there's some cameras around someplace. And that's what most of us in law enforcement look forward to, is trying to find out who did what. But I want to thank everybody for being here. But as you can tell, that memorial means a lot to me and all the citizens of Onslow County. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Buchanan. Commissioner Scott.
Thank you and good night.
Commissioner Price.
Oh, a special thanks to Lisa Whitman Grice for being the guest speaker of Topsail Island Historical Society. She did a great job giving a broad overview of coastal Onslow County history. thoroughly enjoyed it, and the history and the food, and it was a good time had by all, I believe. So thank you for coming out tonight. Have a good evening.
Commissioner Carpenter. Thank you, Commissioner Bryce.
So my tour of Onslow County services and offices continues. I had a great tour of the Consolidated Human Services and was really impressed with the immense amount of staff that you all take care of there, and then the caseload that you have. It's just a really behemoth kind of a job there, and it's really impressive. So thank you for what you do there. I have an airport tour, which will be very different from a staff position rather than a passenger position. I'm looking forward to that tomorrow. And tomorrow, Friday, Emergency Operations Command, or EOC. I hate those acronyms when y'all throw those out there and we don't know what they are. So anyway, for anybody who doesn't know that. But just with regard to the season that we're entering into, the budget season, that is something that I sat in on from that perspective, and I'm looking forward to doing it from this perspective, because I do feel like it is very important that we are making sure that every county employee has what they need to do a great job, while being mindful of the growth that we've got here, and simultaneously being great stewards of the taxpayer dollars that come into us. So I take that very seriously, and I'm looking forward to delving into it with some different eyes. So thank you, and have a great week.
Thank you, Commissioner Carpenter. Vice Chairman Knapp.
Yeah, there's a couple things I want to say. I was going to be, for the first time in 6 years, I actually wrote my comments down and typed them out to read, because these are issues that I think were important. I'm not going to do that. I think I'm smart enough and capable enough to kind of paraphrase what I'm going to have to say, because Commissioner Buchanan wants to go home. So I just. But first, I want to echo what Commissioner Buchanan said. Being a retired law enforcement official myself, and working hard on that public safety memorial. And I know the integral part that Paul Buchanan had, and it is dear to his heart. Paul was also injured in the line of duty as a police officer and as a veteran in the U.S. Marine Corps. And so it's a special meaning for that memorial. And there are several people on that wall, and there's one others that we're trying to get on that wall who was an NCIS agent that died in the line of duty here in Onslow County. So when you see somebody like that, or see a monument like that get desecrated, like it meant nothing, I don't care if it was a joke or juveniles or whatnot, it's probably the lowest thing that you could do as a human being, to desecrate not necessarily a shrine, but a memorial to honor not only them, but to honor their family members. And that kind of coincides with some of the things I wanted to say tonight. And I'm not angry or anything like that. I think it's just a reminder that people need to have as citizens. They need to be reminded of certain things and how we do business here as a county and what our thoughts. Because for 6 years as a commissioner, and you've duly elected me, and I appreciate that, as your representative, you've heard my thoughts, you've heard my comments, you've heard my way of thinking. But sometimes I think you need to be reminded of it, not just you, but everybody, and to remind ourselves of certain things that we do and what the responsibility entails as far as being a commissioner and being a county manager and being part of the county staff. The thing that really upset me about the memorial, though, not just the desecration of the memorial, but I read a comment on our wall, our government wall, from somebody who actually blew off the information and indicated that we should not be worshiping law enforcement officers like that to get over ourselves. And this is coming from somebody in the medical field, and I'll leave it at that, making comments that we shouldn't worship these people. We're putting them on a high pedestal. Obviously, the person has no idea what he or she is thinking, has no idea what that means to me, but that infuriated me to the point where I actually threw something on the floor when I read that comment, because you're basically turning your backs and spitting on the memories of these people that died in the line of duty, plain and simple. And if you ever had somebody, and I've had a couple of partners who have died in the line of duty, and I know that Paul has as well, it's the most heartbreaking thing that you can ever go through, knowing that these people died for a cause, and they would put their lives on the line for you, and some of them have. So to whoever that person was that wrote on the wall and made public comment, I personally think you're a scum, and I'd appreciate you staying off our county wall, and you just need to go back under the rock that you came from, period. and I'm sure there'll be people here that would probably help you get there. So, as I said earlier, there's some things that I just kind of want to touch base with so that people understand where we're coming from. For 6 years, the commissioners, like I said earlier, we voice our concerns, we voice our opinions. And believe it or not, we listen to the opinions of the citizens. We do. Whether we agree with you or we disagree with you, we still listen to what you have to say. And by no means do we ever take someone's comments and throw them away and disregard them. In fact, some of you have made comments and made suggestions as to what we should do. And believe it or not, many of the commissioners, to include myself, have absorbed that and you've literally changed our minds about certain things that we were thinking about that we did not think about. And so I want that to continue. But one of the biggest things that we have to have is transparency. And I still hear a lot of negative, not from everybody, but for certain groups, I have a lot of negativity about transparency of this board. Okay? I don't know what to tell you because our board is very, very transparent. It's been transparent day one since we took office here 6 years ago with some of these board members, and it continues to do so with members on the board now. There's been talks, and I bring this up because I've heard it just recently from some people, that these backdoor deals, these backdoor agreements, these good old boys making deals behind the scenes. Okay, number one, if there are backdoor deals, well, I haven't been invited to them, and I wish I would have, but none of us on this board would tolerate a backdoor deal or an under-the-table agreement with anybody. All of us that sit on this board, whether it's Chairman Foster, Vice Chairman me, and the rest of us, guess what? We all have the same authority, the same power. It doesn't take one person to run a board. One person does not make this board. This is the process of our republic and the democratic process to have 7 commissioners to discuss things, and it takes the majority of us 4 to get any issue moved or past us. I hear a lot of, to be mindful of our budget. I hear a lot of, what are you doing with our taxpayers' money? And we listen to this, at least for me, for 6 years. And sometimes we have to take the good with the bad. But know this, that every workshop that we've been through for the last 6 years that I've been through, due diligence has been applied every step of the way with our staff, okay? Because their number one concern, just like it should be for the commissioners, is number one, to serve the citizens, to protect the citizens in every way we can, to be conservative with our money, but at the same time promote growth. That's the purpose of what we do as a board, and I know that's the ideal that the county manager uses as well and embraces. That's important. But when you get tied up, and this goes for elected officials too, not just citizens. There are elected officials out there that need to hear this too. When you go out and you don't do your due diligence and you don't fact check certain things that you heard and you start to spread rumors and disinformation, you're doing a disservice to not only whoever you're talking to, but you're doing a disservice to the county government, you're doing a disservice to the citizens. Fact checking goes both ways, okay? There's an old phrase on Facebook, you need to fact check. Well, so do the citizens and so do elected officials. Before we say something, believe me, before we make a comment on something or what is being done, we're already fact checking to make sure those facts are correct. And if we miss the boat on that, I guarantee you we have a staff like our county manager and Ms. Julie Wan here, our clerk, who will make sure we know all the facts. They go out of their way to brief us immediately. There hasn't come a time once when we found out information 2 weeks later after something happened, because Sharon is on top of it. The only way that ever happens is if they didn't brief her as well. So I just want people to understand that. We do our due diligence. We look at everything. We listen to everybody. And then we have to make the crucial decisions for the county, what's best for the county. The Board of Commissioners serves as a unified body. Okay, our board, all of us, have agreed. We've disagreed on issues to the point sometimes it gets a little heated, but nothing unprofessional. Once we vote on something and we choose a course of action, that action is what we pursue, and then we go back to normal. In other words, we're adults, okay? We're professionals. We talk to each other. We agree to disagree, and that's the key thing, agreeing to disagree. And what people don't understand, too, and I want to reemphasize, because there are some that feel that they can sway the board, they feel that they can push their interests on the board and get us to vote a certain way. It doesn't work that way, at least not from my perspective. okay? My perspective is always the citizens first. What's best for the citizens, what's best for the county. You know, all of us on this board are Republicans, not a doubt. All of us are registered Republicans, and we got elected under the Republican ticket. But that doesn't mean we represent Republicans and conservatives across the board, because there are some conservatives that I don't agree with in some of their thinking. We are citizens, we are representatives of the Board of Commissioners that were elected to represent all people in this county. No matter race, religion, sexual preference, it doesn't matter. We represent everybody in this county. Everybody in this county has an equal voice to say what they say. And for another group to condemn people for thinking a certain way or to put them down, that is just unsatisfactory in my book. It's totally unsatisfactory. It's immoral as far as I'm concerned, because that goes away from the truth that we believed in on the founding principles of this country. It's the freedom of religion, the freedom of self-expression, and we also believe in the inalienable rights that were given to us by God. So when I hear these negative comments, I'll be honest with you, it upsets me. It upsets me because I know how hard the commissioners work. I know how hard our county manager works, our staff, and they do their due diligence to do what they can to bring the best product to the table for the county. So with that being said, and I wanted to say this because I think it's imperative that people should know. It's imperative that people should know what the board members think. We're not robots up here and we're not being censored by our chairman not to say certain things. This is the lead way that we get so that you can hear what I believe, you can hear what Commissioner Buchanan believes, Bennett and the rest of us down the line. That's the way it's supposed to be because you elected us and we're supposed to answer to you. We don't answer to anybody else but the citizens. And the citizens have a right to know what we think, how we think, and why we think the way we do. And they also need to know why we voted a certain way, and we try to explain that at every turn. So with that being said, I just wanted to put that out there as a little reminder. Don't be persuaded by disinformation. Don't be persuaded by falsities that are out there that some people push a certain narrative because it goes along with their thinking process. That's not the way it should be. Because you believe one thing, you believe a certain way, and you believe this to happen, here's a novel idea. If you believe that, pick up the phone and call somebody in a position that has knowledge about the situation to clarify anything. Because I guarantee you, at least if you call me, you're gonna get the straight scoop from me. And believe me, I have no problems speaking my mind, as many of you know, okay? So when I hear things about these things reiterating what I said about we're not doing enough for this, we're not focusing on that, I guarantee you every one of these commissioners, except for maybe Lisa because she's brand new, haven't experienced restless nights, haven't experienced the phone calls that come to us and aggravate us because they're full of disinformation or falsities. We're aggravated and irritated by that because people have not done their due diligence as we strive to do as a board. Pick up the phone and call us. Our emails are public. You can ask us a question, and I guarantee you every commissioner sitting on this board will answer that question. And when it comes to our employees, I agree with you, Mr. Calley, that we should take care of our employees, and I think for the last 6 years we have. I think we're going to continue to do that. We're going to continue to take care of our employees, to see that they're adequately paid, to see they get the adequate training, to see they get the adequate compensation. And why is that? Because the county staff is what makes this county tick. They're the ones that do everything, and it's a big responsibility. And we have a county manager, and I'm going to sing her praises again. I've been through 3 of them. She's the 3rd one. She's the best county manager that I have ever met, period, in terms of leadership, but more so in terms of her, the way she operates and conducts business. She makes it very clear what she wants or what we're trying to do, but she always carries the goals and the priorities of the commissioner. She always has us as the focal point to include the citizens. And I can't express that enough. And yet I get upset when I hear people make comments about our staff, especially our county manager, when, once again, you have misinformation, you don't have the facts, and you don't know what you're talking about in reference to a particular situation. So I'm going to conclude with that. And again, I'm not trying to pontificate myself or anything like that. I feel it's necessary to be heard by the citizens, especially for me and where I stand. I will always be loyal to our county employees. I'll always be loyal to our county manager because I think they do a bang-up job, and that's what we're supposed to do as commissioners. And I pray, and she's already shown, and the county staff has shown the loyalty to us as an entity, and that's the way it should be. So with that, I'm looking forward to the budget process. I know we got conscientious commissioners on this board. If you want to get nitpicked about the budget, ask Paul, because he loves to do that, and I appreciate that, because Paul answers, he looks at everything, and most of these other commissioners do as well. So when he tells you something, he's being genuine. So if you have any questions, feel free to call me. If you have any comments, emails, I will get back to you one way or another, and I'm sure every commissioner on this board will do the same thing. And I'm looking forward to Onslow County. I see good things for Onslow County this year. I see good things about the budget. I am upset about one thing, though. You never told me you were retiring, Sherry. I had to find out up here that you're retiring, and my jaw dropped. Are you kidding me? Terry, you've been exceptional. You were there from the very onset of when we started the Dix Crisis Center. You were my right-hand person. You were navigating me through all the Medicare, Medicaid, jumbo mumbo, whatever, telling me what we need to do, or this is what we need to look at. But also, I've seen you in action in the meetings as the chairman of the Oversight Committee, and you're a professional. You're very good at what you do, and I'm going to sorely miss you, not only from a county commissioner's perspective, but as a friend. I'm going to miss the councils that we've had and the talks that we've had, and I'm still shocked you're going to retire, but I'll definitely be at your retirement party, for sure. But that's it, folks. God bless. I appreciate everybody coming out, and we'll see you at the next meeting.
Thank you, Vice Chairman Knapp. And it wouldn't be right if I didn't thank Commissioner Buchanan for getting Commissioner Knapp to paraphrase what he was going to say tonight.
Don't even go there.
So,
Mr. Tangent.
Sorry, just had to put that out there. With that being said, just a few comments. First of all, congratulations, Jerry. We appreciate everything that you have done. And I know you're looking forward to your time. Also, a thank you to the Montford Point Marine Association here, their invitation to their 36th annual Black and White Ball, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s Black and White Scholarship Ball, and the efforts that they put in for the community to offer scholarships to not only our students in school here, but also for students at the collegiate level as well. So that's an example of community taking care of community and looking out for Onslow County. So I appreciate that and all the work that they do there. Also, just a couple of things to remind you, we're getting ready to go into budget discussions, obviously. I appreciate the speakers coming up tonight and talking about that, Mike. And Brian, appreciate you and the invitation to Living Water as well. But a couple of things that we were looking at as we move into this. I've talked a little bit to Ms. Griffin. I want everybody to know that 80+% of our budget is mandated by the state. And we have to make sure we meet those mandates and the needs of the citizens through those mandates, because at the end of the day, Onslow County government is an extension of state government, so they really like to tell us what to do without providing funding, and we have to fund it. With that being said, a couple of things that I want us, or hope us as commissioners will prepare for those budget discussions and hearing what Ms. Griffin and her team of directors have come up with and ideas and needs. But at the same time is be very strategic in what we are doing, not necessarily looking at this year's budget cycle alone, but strategically looking at what we want to accomplish over the next 5 years, next 10 years, and start building budgets based on vision of what we want to see take place for Onslow County and meet our needs in a manner that is preparing for the future. And that's what we would like to see that budget do moving forward. Establishing goals. Quite often we establish goals, and I'd like for us to really, when we get in there in February, to have some real goals in mind. Each commissioner walk in the door with one or two goals in mind, and not a goal of not raising taxes. That's not that we're looking at doing that. I don't want anybody to walk out and say, oh my gosh, no, that's not what I'm saying. Is our goal is take what we've been receiving and move forward a very good budget. And let's have some goals that are really, really meaningful and get down to the needs of everyone that's here. Because Onslow County is growing tremendously. And with growth comes the need for more, unfortunately. And with that is our schools are growing. When our schools grow, then there's more teachers that are needed. There's going to be schools that will need to be built, which is going to mean more school resource officers that are going to be needed in those schools. Our planning department, already you hear the numbers that are coming up with the planning department and what they have to do, and the permitting and environmental health. And as that continues to grow, you look at EMS. When growth happens, more EMS calls occur, which means we need more of that. When there's more growth, there is propensity for having more crime or activities, which ends up in a request of the sheriff's office to need more resources to get their job done. So as this county grows, everything grows with it. And hopefully that tax base will grow with it as well. But I'm not sure, Dr. Gardner will probably correct me at the end, I'm not sure what the per pupil spending is in Onslow County schools. But I can assure you that whenever one homeowner with 4 kids pays their property tax, it doesn't equal one child's per student funding in Onslow County. So there's a lot that those needs are there. And I want us to really, as a board, we look at, review, prepare, look at what additions we might need. If you think there's something that we need, be prepared to have that conversation. If there's something that you have questions about or a concern about, that is this a need or is this something that's necessary or not necessary, be prepared to discuss that and talk about that. Let's look at our programs and review the things that we are doing and be prepared to build a strategically planned budget that will look forward, as I said earlier, to 5 to 10 years down the road. That this board can look back and say, we started that in 2023's budget process, and that was completed in 2033. And I think those are some things that would be really good for our board to focus on and be visionary in what we would like to see take place. And with that being said, look forward to working with this board, look forward to working with our county manager as we prepare the budget for the future, and we will be looking out for Onslow County and do it in a manner that is very, very transparent in preparation of what we need to do. So thank you all for coming out tonight. Thank you, commissioners, for your comments tonight, and we hope you have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you next time. Thank you, and at this time, a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We are adjourned.